In this video, I'm going to share with you how almost dying saved me because it showed me the one thing that was stopping me to completely heal from hypothyroidism. A few years ago, I was there laying in a hospital bed without knowing if I would make it alive or not. And one day, out of nowhere, I started crying. I cried literally for 24 hours. I remember the nurses coming in and telling me, Selena, you need to calm down. This is not good for your breathing, but I just couldn't stop. You know that cried when your tears are just coming out and you just can't do nothing to stop it? That type of cry. Well, I cried for the failed relationships. I cried for the baby that I couldn't have. I cried for my mom, who I lost when I was still pretty young. And I also cried for my skincare line that at the time was my only dream left. And it felt like it was just slipping out of my hands. In that bed, I felt like a complete failure. I felt so sad. I felt like, well, something must be wrong with me because none of my dreams are ever going to come true. But in that same bed, I made a decision. If I freaking make it out of this hospital, I'm going to change the things that I can still control. And something happened. I started thinking, well, this is not going to be hard because I know how to take action. I had always been an action taker. And that was exactly when I realized my issue. I was always doing and doing by myself. Every time somebody tried to help or support me, my answer will be, I'm fine, I got it. And it was just like this huge realization that since I lost my mom, that was my family, it was my mom and I, that was it. I felt alone. And I felt like from that day on, I had to just do it all alone. And I realized that I was just close to receive because along my life, I had plenty of people trying to support me, to help me, even silly things like someone offering help with a box or a bag. I will be like, no, I got it. I can do it all alone. I didn't realize until that day the huge walls that I had put around me. And the truth was that ever since I lost my mother, I carried this heavy feeling of I have to do it all alone. And because of that, I didn't feel worthy of love, support, or help. And I kept on thinking and self reflecting. And one of the things that stood up to me is my mom passed physically over 10 years ago at that point, and I still cry for her almost every day. And there I saw it. I wasn't sick only in my physical body, I was sick in my heart. My emotions were sick. Sadness was ruling my life. I couldn't sleep more than 3 hours. I couldn't rest. I couldn't ever take a nap. I was just completely exhausted all the time. And here is the thing. Obviously, I made it out of the hospital because I am right here, right, recording this video. And here is the thing. The very first morning that I woke up in my apartment, I was still shaking because it took me a while to recover. But anyways, I walked to my balcony. I opened my arms. I will never forget that day. And I said, God, universe, I am finally open to receive. And that was like literally the universe was listening. I started receiving that day little gift and little things from people that knew, the few people actually that knew that I was at the hospital, because I didn't want to tell anybody because I was the type of person that I don't like to bother, I don't like to worry. And it was just like as simple as a meal because again I was very weak, so I couldn't cook, I couldn't, people sent me Uber Eats a little gift to brighten my day, and I was like, wait, is this simple? It felt honestly like I opened myself to living again. And just like that, and I know we're talking about hypothyroidism, and bear with me because we are getting there. Just like that, I decided to start learning about emotions and how our emotions are connected to our body. And I start understanding that emotions are not just something that vanish. When you push emotions down, they try to come out somehow. So if we don't talk the emotions, if we don't process the emotions, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like putting something in a container that is closed, like a little animal, and it's just fighting to get out. Well, it's the same with emotions. So if it's pushing to get out, things are going to happen, right? And there is when I understood that until I didn't heal my emotions, I would never heal completely from hypothyroidism. And this was the tricky part. By then, I already lost the weight. So that part was fixed, but I still had constipation. I had still obviously insomnia. I had, other tummy issues. I had chronic fatigue. My hair was still falling out. So the only really symptom that I concur to call it somehow at that point was the weight loss. But all the rest, they were still there because they were like that little animal that was, in a container fighting to get out. And I start processing those emotions. I start crying when I needed to cry. I start asking for help. And I start seeing myself from a different point of view. And I start seeing myself with more kindness. I'm sorry. This is still get me emotional because I still working on that. When we try to be so strong for so many, many, many years, now I'm 47 and this was just 4 years ago, you need to constantly work on that. But that was the first point for my transformation and from a start like truly healing. So when I start talking about emotions and hypothyroidism, my doctors completely brushed me off and they were like, yeah, whatever. Until I run into this beautiful doctor. I can never remember her name, but her last name, but I know her name is Sarah. And she's a Harvard doctor who actually had dedicated her life to study the link between emotions and illnesses. And I just felt so reassured. So this is the thing that was missing. And when I start working on my emotions and validate my emotions, literally all the other symptoms start vanishing. So if you are ready to lose the weight, to shake off all that, the mood swings, the hair loss, the looking at yourself in your mirror and not liking what you are seeing, book a call today because I am thrilled that I have the honor and the pleasure to help you. I want you to feel as happy as I feel now. And the best part is this is not a quick fix. It's not about just losing weight. It's about transforming your life and live your best, best, best life. And if you know I'm talking to you, just book the call today because I take only 5 women at a time and right now I have only 2 spots left.